Hi, my name is Clint Wyckoff, and it's great to see you. Welcome back to this Getting Started with Cloud-Defined Storage playlist. This is Chapter 2, and you've made it to Module 3. Congratulations, Neb Nerds. If you've been following along, we've now covered the basics of cloud-defined storage and what it takes to get your application servers connected to power and set up on the control network. Now we're ready to get going with Nebulon On, which is the cloud-based control plane, and really, it's the brains of cloud-defined storage platform. Organizations provide customers with the ability to centrally govern, control, and scale their resources. Nebulon On provides the mechanisms and tooling to authenticate, communicate, automate, and manage a Nebulon-powered on-premises IT infrastructure. At the time of purchase, you registered a company administrator and provided an email address. This email address will have received a welcome email with the initial login credentials for Nebulon On. This email also contains links to material like the Getting Started with Cloud-Defined Storage course you're watching right now, as well as links to our product documentation and our Neb Nerd community Slack. I strongly encourage you to join the community, as this gives you an opportunity to connect and join in the conversation with your fellow Neb Nerds. But back to Nebulon On. The URL for Nebulon On is on.nebulon.com. So let's open a web browser together and head there. Upon the first login to your company's Nebulon On organization, the multi-tenant structure in the cloud, you'll be prompted to accept the terms and conditions. Do not forget, make sure you download a copy of the end user license agreement and store this for your company records. Alternatively, you may request a copy through opening a support case, which you can do through Nebulon On, the web interface that we're logged into right now. Now that we're in Nebulon On, let's get going with registering our first IoT endpoint, or Services Processing Unit, aka SPU for short. These are the full height, full length PCIe 3 cards, which are clustered together to form an endpod. And these are ultimately what provide your applications with the scale-out storage services they need. Once they're IP'd and connectivity to the cloud is validated, SPUs will be auto-discovered into your Nebulon On organization. To validate this, let's head to the Admin tab across the top navigation and choose Physical Infrastructure. As SPUs become available and they're discovered, they will be displayed here. If you need to register an SPU manually, this can be done by clicking the Register New SPUs button within the user interface. SPUs are registered with the cloud by their unique serial number. Now, folks, if required, serial numbers can be obtained physically via the UEFI or a sticker on the side of the card. Once the endpoints, SPUs, are registered with the cloud, they're ready to build their endpod. So let's do this together. Let's build our very first endpod. Now, we're going to cover this topic in depth here in an upcoming chapter. However, we demonstrated the flow in Module 1 here within Chapter 2, where we did our full product overview. However, let's quickly walk through the steps together. First off, an endpod is equivalent to an application cluster. This could be a database environment running on bare metal hardware, a VMware cluster running a set of virtual machines, or a containerized application which is deployed using Kubernetes, as well as our CSI driver. In any case, an endpod should be thought of as an individual application cluster. It's a really simple concept to understand. The second concept to understand as part of the endpod creation is configuration templates. By default, Nebulon provides a list of curated templates which you can further customize to meet your application needs. Configuration templates include critical information like boot volume URL for automated operating system deployments, storage configurations, and its ultimate profile, as well as the snapshot schedule for the volumes associated with the endpod. Let's click Admin across the top nav, choose Endpod Management, and then click Create. Choose our SPUs, our configuration template, the snapshot schedule, Endpod Group, which is a logical grouping of typically based on the line of business or application use case, and we'll provide it a meaningful name. Then the last step in the process here before we can create our endpod is to click Validate. Now, Validate is a very important step in the endpod creation process. Validation ensures that the user making the request has the necessary permissions, but it also validates that the computer making the request is able to communicate with the SPUs which are forming the endpod. This security validation process is known as the security triangle. Now, this wraps up this module. Next up, we'll touch on support before we head off into the world of security, where we're going to dive deep. If you found this module to be useful, hit the thumbs up button below. If you'd like to be notified when new modules or other content drops, hit the notification button up here. I also encourage you to join your fellow Neb Nerds in our community Slack channel. To do so, head over to slack.nebulon.com and tell them Clint sent you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next module.